here. What you want to do, the stone form is kind of one of the few salvations that the Garg's here. Here it only allowed him to save 2 of them. In the previous battle, he saved like 6 at least, I want to say. Let's talk a little bit about aerial shackles. Actually, it lasts for 30 seconds. So unless you can convince the Dragonhawks to back up by starting to focus them down with Nova and things like that, your gargoyles are going to be stuck there for quite a while. So you either need to have a lot of Gargs and kill off some of the Dragonhawk riders, or you have to interrupt it somehow. The only way that undead have to interrupt aerial shackles that I know of... Okay, actually there's 2. Web can interrupt it. I think once a unit is webbed... okay, check the Slick Micro here. Lucifer is going to milk his Death Knight's HP for as long as he possibly can. He pops a heal scroll, pops a potion of healing, and he's basically going to keep nuking and sleeping the enemy units, and it's just all that amounts to is he's able to get away without having a town portal. A heal scroll and a healing potion and a potion of invulnerability are a little cheaper. Plus now he's able to sit at the Fountain of Health. What that amounted to is once Sky saw that he couldn't get the kill on the Death Knight, he had to back up, because otherwise his heroes were going to get nuked. This is, once again, Lucifer milking that hero level advantage. So, that's the sort of thing that you can do. You just kind of keep your Gargs out of the battle if they're just going to get killed, like stone form them or get them out of the way or something like that, and then just use your hero levels that you've used the Gargs to allow you to have superior hero levels, and just kind of use the heroes to win the game. Okay, I was kind of talking about aerial shackles. The silence with the Dark Ranger is the only thing that undeads have that can interrupt aerial shackles, other than web. Web will cancel aerial shackles if it's in progress and you web the unit. However, I'm fairly sure that a webbed Dragonhawk rider can still aerial shackle something. However, aerial shackles has a 40-second cooldown, so once he fires off a round of them, it's going to be a little while before he can do it again. Lucifer is still plugging away at building gargoyles at this point. I was actually pretty surprised he didn't switch to fiends or something like that. I think he will finally do that somewhere toward the end of the game. But, like I said, he's really just using the Gargs for containment. He's also doing something that I think is absolutely brilliant here. If you look in Sky's base, while he's hitting this expansion with his gargoyles, which, by the way, is not enough to fight off Sky's army, so he's going to have to kind of run away a little bit here. But while he's doing that, he grabbed those two. What are they called? Meat wagons that were defending his expansion, and he sent them to go kill the buildings in Sky's Main. Sky's Main at this point does not have... this is one of those things where I would just chalk this up to kind of genius insight. It's not the sort of thing that always works, but just when you get the sense that your opponent is spread too thin to be able to deal with both at the same time... I've done this against Night Elf too. It's a good complement to gargoyles. You hit one thing with the Gargs that you may not be able to fight his army off, but it's enough to force him to keep his army there to keep you from killing whatever it is that you're trying to kill, generally one of his expansions. And meanwhile, you hit something else with a couple of meat wagons. And that can really screw an opponent over, and it's having a pretty positive effect against Sky here. Lucifer basically, and also I was kind of surprised here. Lucifer managed to get a little bonus out of this, because he also managed to give Sky's army the slip, and he was able to deal enough damage to cancel the expansion with his gargoyles. I'm kind of, I wouldn't say it was entirely lucky, but it was very fortuitous. That he was able to get both. He was able to kill off several of Sky's towers, plus his shop, plus I think his hero building place, his altar, which is definitely going to be a problem for Sky, because that means until he gets that altar back up, he's got to be even more careful with his heroes that risk getting nuked by Lucifer's increasingly very, very, very high-level heroes. Let's see. Let's talk about some of the alternatives. You're going to see kind of the same kind of air battles here, where Lucifer is going to lose he's going to lose a few Gargs, but he's going to save some of them by stone forming them. But he's just going to use his heroes to go after the human stuff and just kind of force them to run away, because really at 644 the undead heroes are beefy enough that nothing in Sky's army at this point is going to be a huge threat to it, and as long as he plays smart with Coil, he's not going to get anything nuked to death. So he's really able to chase Sky off just through the power of his hero levels. In Lucifer's base, the gargoyles finally just get completely wiped out, and I think this is the point where he's going to switch to fiends. Let's kind of talk about some of the alternatives that the human player could do, however. One of the things that they might respond to is by going rifles. If you see rifles, it's kind of the same story in a way. You're going to use your Gargs just to kind of contain him. The thing about rifles is that, they're stuck on the ground, and what you can do is you can just kind of swoop in with the gargoyles, maybe Coil whichever one happens to get focused, and, pick off one of his units or something like that. And then just pull the gargoyles away, and the riflemen aren't going to be able to hit it. Also, if he goes rifles, he's probably not going to build very many towers, so you'll be pretty strong in the sense that you can keep flying between his base and expansion, and just screwing stuff up with your gargoyles. So it ends up being a little bit the same story that you saw here. If he goes rifle caster, the casters with slow are going to be capable of keeping your gargoyles, in place so that he can actually kill them. However, casters are very vulnerable to gargoyle focus fire. So, from what I understand, Ghoul Garg actually, and you probably want to get your Crypt Lord third, is Ghoul Garg is actually pretty damn effective against rifle caster. You just fly the Gargs in and start picking off the casters. And then you bring your ghouls in just behind. It works kind of like Mutiling from the old StarCraft days, where the Gargs, even though they're not that strong, kind of create enough of a distraction that the ghouls, which deal a ton of damage, can get on top of all the riflemen. Then he's basically got the opportunity of, he can probably kill your Gargs with the riflemen, but if he does, all the riflemen are going to die. And, hopefully you've gotten your expansion up and that sort of thing, and you'll actually have fought a pretty decent fight, most likely have won it. He can mass Dragonhawks, in which case, actually, once again, I think your gargoyles can fight pretty well. Or he could go for tanks. As far as tanks go, you really want to do just kind of the standard. Well, in truth, Sky did kind of go for tanks here. You want to just set up a bunch of frost towers and a couple of meat wagons. And one of the things that you can do is try and pick the place that you think he's most likely to hit. Watch this final battle here. There's actually the gyrocopters. I think Sky, I don't know where they are at the moment. They may have all died or gotten suicided or something. But the gyrocopters aren't going to do any good at this point because all the gargoyles are gone. And Lucifer's heroes, once again, he's able to sleep the Mountain King to keep him from nuking much, and Lucifer's heroes just own Sky up there. So, in summary, the gist of a gargoyle strategy on Lost Temple versus human is that you're trying to win with hero levels. You're going to start your counter expansion a little bit later than usual. You go ahead and get a couple of Gargs going and things like that, and that's going to strongly discourage him from taking his footmen outside of his base. You want to creep a little bit more than usual with your Death Knight in the early game, although don't let the Archmage get to level 3 because, as always, the level 2 water elementals are going to screw you over, and they are also going to make life a lot harder for your gargoyles. Once you get enough gargoyles rolling, you just kind of use them to keep your opponent distracted, and once you feel fairly comfortable that you've got him locked into his base, you just go and creep a little bit, and then you go back to harassing him. Watch him for expansions. Gargoyles are very good at canceling expansions, but absolutely terrible at killing them once they're up. It's one of those things where you have to preempt. You have to suspect when he's going to expand or scout with the shade or something like that. Hope you guys have enjoyed this one. This is Fray signing out.